Dorothy here today at Done by Dorothy, and we are here today working on our Mira Nature Journal, and we're actually going to work on our cover today and building our cover and getting it set up. I am doing a little bit different than what I thought. We have the 3 signatures. I was going to put them all together in one journal, and I have decided instead that I would do 2 signatures in one journal, and then I want to do one signature as a small journal by itself. So I am going to do the 2. One I've already got started, and I'll show you it like after I get it finished. But today we're going to work on getting this done. I will tell you, I cut my chipboard at 6 and let's see, 6 and 7, or 6 by 8 7/8, and then my spine I cut at 3 by 8 7/8. So it is a little bit shy of 9 inches. I cut it just a tad bit shorter. So let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do, and I'm using Tyvek. This was from I received a package and they had one of the Tyvek priority mail envelopes wrapped around inside of the other. So I'm going to go ahead and use it, and we'll glue our spine onto it, and that'll give us a little bit more support in the seams of where like our spine. And I'm using Fabri-Tac because it dries fast, it adheres great for plastic, so I just find it works really well with Tyvek. So and I just sort of try to cut this, and it doesn't really matter. I don't really pay attention if it's straight, so maybe I can straighten it up a little bit when I get it, after I get it glued down. Let me trim it up a little bit here to make it even with, and I try to even it up with my spine. And then I just burnish it down with my bone folder, just sort of make sure it's adhered really well. Okay, so we've got that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, if I can get it out, I'm going to put some Fabri-Tac on here, and I'm going to make sure I keep, you know, about 1/8 of an inch gap. Because I want to make sure I have a nice, you know, amount of space. And you know, you can actually put your bone folder in there if you want to, and sort of push it up against there, just sort of lining it up to the best of my ability. And there, push it down, and then I make sure I push it down pretty good. And again, pick it up, burnish it down. And I got glue popping out the end there. So, and you can sort of play with that. If it's not completely lined up, it'll move a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Okay. Got some bubbling over here, so, and you know, this is creating, so it may not be perfectly exact the first time you do it, or the second, or the third, or the 15th. Just do it to the best of your ability. And I'm just going to line it up. And if you've watched any of my other journals, I pretty much do these the same. Okay, so now that we've got that, and again, I'm going to keep using my Fabri-Tac for this, if I can get it to drain down here. And at this point, I sort of like to take my pencil, and I use a mechanical pencil, and I'll push my lead out, and I just sort of run my lead right down the side of that joint, because that sort of, when I open it up, I can see where that pencil line is, so I know where to line up. And we're going to be using this paper, and this paper that I'm using, this is what we're going to use for the front covers. This is what we're going to use for the spine, and the insides all came out of the Die Cuts with a View, the heirloom stack. And I think I got these from Michael's, maybe. It was like, no, let me think. Wasn't Hobby Lobby, I think is where I got it, and it was like, had been like, I think it was $20, but I had a 50% off coupon, or got it 50% off, so I paid like $10 for that big huge stack. So I'm trying to think, it may have been Michael's. So I'm going to run my glue on here. I like using Fabri-Tac because it doesn't make the paper all as wobbly as some others, but you got to make sure you really get really good coverage. Sorry for the goofy noise the bottle makes as you're putting it on there. Let me put this up so let me make sure I'm in frame here so you guys can see. And then I'm just going to line this up, and I want about an inch on each side or so, 3/4 of an inch or so. And I just sort of, where I made that line it up there. Take my bone folder and burnish it down. And then at this point, I will turn it over, and I will take this, and I'm going to cut just about 1/8 of an inch over. And then same as there, and these don't have to be the same because we're gonna cover this up, so we just sort of need to cover that up, cut that out like that. So let me turn it over this way, do it a little bit better. This is just gonna let us do really nice corners, although I'm actually gonna be using metal corners, so that will help a lot. And now we're gonna repeat with this side. I'm going to pause you for just a minute. Okay, and I'm back. Sorry about that. Got teenage kids in the house. They will drive you crazy, let me tell you. And again, I'm just going to make sure I get really good coverage. Make sure I do really good around the edges. And I just like to make sure. And you know, you can use, if I was using fabric, because I wanted to do like a cloth covered cover, which, you know, you can do, I would be using Mod Podge or, you know, some Eileen's tacky glue or whatever. But with using paper for this cover, I'm going to use a Fabri-Tac because it just doesn't warp and make it all wibbly wobbly. Okay, and then I'm just going to, again, put about my inch on each end and line it up to my line. And if it's not exact, that's fine, because like I said, it's going to be covered. Smooth it all down. Burnish it down. Okay. I'm going to flip it over, and again, we're going to cut our corners. Okay. Now let's go ahead and get these corners glued down, or the sides, and I always start with these sides first. That's just my, so we can start with we'll do this end first. And again, I try to make sure I don't overdo the glue, but I try to put enough on there that then I'll fold it up. Trying to make sure I keep this in frame. And then I just sort of pull it and push it and then burnish it down really well to have nice smooth sides. And again, okay, so then I take the tip of my bone folder, but you can use a ruler, a pencil, you know, whatever you have, and I just sort of press that small corner down on each side. Make sure you can, I just sort of push it down. And I'm going to real fast go ahead and, okay. And I just sort of, you know, doing that sort of creases it so it's more receptive to fold. Gotta get new Fabri-Tac. I had it on my list, and then when I went to the store, I totally forgot it. I try to keep some more on hand, and I always make sure that I go right along this edge and get a nice coat right through there, because that's going to keep a nice neat edge. And I probably over glue, and I'm sure somebody out there is going, oh my lord, why is she using that much glue? That's just me. I've always been like that. I was just better safe than sorry. Okay, so I push this along the edge, and then I hold this out, and I'm just sort of pulling. but as I'm pulling, I'm sliding. Not pulling enough that I pull it up, but enough that it's tight enough that it's not sort of, you know, getting stuck. Okay. And again, like I said, we're going to put metal corners on there, so, you know, if the corners are exactly not perfectly straight, then that's fine. Maybe we'll fix that later. And my glue went all crazy again. And I like using Fabri-Tac too because it gives you a little bit of time to work with it. It doesn't, you know, dry up as soon as you put it on there, which makes it nice. Go ahead and wipe that off on there. Okay, so again, I'm going to take it and fold it, crease it really good across the bottom. Then again, this, you can sort of see I'm just pushing up with my fingers, and as I push with my fingers, it's attaching because Fabri-Tac has that really nice gription. It just grips the paper really well. There we go. Turn it this way. So yeah, if you don't have a lot of experience with, you know, doing it, and you're trying to find, you know, sort of maybe not, I wouldn't say the easiest way. I mean, because obviously, you know, there's a million ways that you can do this. This is one of the simpler ways, I think. You know, if you're just wanting to deal with paper in the beginning. So let me make sure I'm still okay. And again, I'm just pushing those ends in like that. So it'll be all tucked in there. Again, I got glue goobers. And then again, I'm just going to run my glue. I always run it around the edge. Make sure you have a nice cut on the edge, because that's hold down. I go along the edge of my cover there, so it'll adhere. And then just sort of make sure I have really good coverage, because, you know, this is the base of your cover. This is going to get more wear and tear than anywhere in your whole entire journal. So you really want to make sure that you have a really good job. And I should have like pre-creased that before, but it works just the same. I just like pre-creasing it because it seems a little bit easier for me, but it'll be fine. So I'm just easing it through there, and you may get a little bit of glue out the sides. In the center, it doesn't matter because you're going to be covering that with paper anyway. And so we have a little glue there, but Fabri-Tac will rub off, which is nice too, because a lot of glue will just adhere and you can't get rid of it. Fabri-Tac does give you a chance to get rid of it. Okay, so those are our two cover pieces, and you can see our corners they did really well. So, to do the main spine, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to start with my Tyvek, and I'm going to glue my Tyvek area. I sort of try to go along the edge, but not down in the spine so much. And I always make sure I get a really good amount on the Tyvek, because if it's not going to attach anywhere, it'll be on the Tyvek. But it usually does really good. I don't usually have too much of a problem. Okay. And then here is probably the most trickiest part, because you want it to be even or at least close to even. So I know that I used a 3-inch spine, I believe, on this one. Let me double check. Yes, I used a 3-inch spine. Ooh, I got glue clean across there. You guys didn't see that, did you? There it went. It went right back over. Okay, so the 3-inch spine, and I cut this at 6 inches. So I'm going to have 1.5 inches on each side. So I know 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches. And I just sort of make 2 little marks like that, move it up, mark it, and it doesn't even have to be an exact line. At this point, I just sort of put 3 little marks on there. Nobody's going to see this but you. It's going to be on the inside, so it doesn't even matter. I just sort of make my lines like that. Then I find it easiest to do it this way. So I mean, you can do whatever you want to. I sort of tilt this at an angle, and I hold my cover like this so I can line it up in between those lines. But at the same time that I'm lining my cover up, I need to make sure that I have about the same amount on each end. So it's just nice and central, and it doesn't have to be exact. Like I said, you just don't want it to be crazy. And I mean, I can set and go, okay, well, that's a little, you know, set and measure and go, okay, that's 1.5 inches, and that's at 1.5 inches, so it's spot on where I need it to be. And then you want to varnish this very, very well, because you want to make sure that that Tyvek adheres to your paper really, really well. And remember, I just did the spine, so my cover still lifts. Okay, so I've got my spine on, so now I can come over here. Now, I always go up to it, because I'm dealing with paper on paper here once I get here. So I always come up and stop about 1/4 inch to the edge, because I can go back in with, you know, or you can, I mean, you can go up close to the edge. Just be careful when you know, maybe take your finger, let me put my towel or something, take your finger if you're going to go up to the edge and just sort of wipe it with your finger up to the edge so you don't get a lot of bubbling popping out of the side, because you don't want that all, you know, squeezing out onto your cover. And then lay it down, pop it, and then what I do, because you have a little bit of space there, I start from the outside on this and sort of push in, so any extra glue you have, you're sort of working it down. So by the time you get down here, if it's going to squish out, it's going to squish out down through the bottom, so it's not going to squish out onto your front cover. Okay? Okay, so we've got that side. Let's flip it over and repeat. Make sure I'm in camera. Or in frame, I guess I should say. And again, I'm going to repeat, if I can get my glue out, the same as I did earlier. And again, like I said, I do a nice coat because I want to make sure that it adheres really well. I mean, this is my cover. It's going to get more wear and tear than anything. And I keep repeating that, but it's one of those things that's worth repeating. And then take my finger, just rub it down the edge. Getting it right on along the edge. And I mean, you can run it all across there if you want. I just keep like a baby wipe or a paper towel close to you that you can wipe your finger off with. Flip it over. And again, you can burnish it down, make sure it's burnished all across. And if you get an area with a little bit of glue on it, don't stress about it, because can ink over it, or, you know, we're going to decorate too, so it'll be fine. Okay, now we have the ends. And on the ends, we're going to glue everywhere, but you don't want to glue where your seams are. So what I do is I just sort of go up to the edge, sort of skip over. I mean, if there's a little bit there, I don't stress, but I don't cover that area with glue. If the strings go across there, sometimes the strings will follow with you, but okay, let me turn this. Let me make sure I'm in camera. Yes, I am. And again, I grab my bone folder because I can line that up through there. And again, I just hold as I slide across. And that's giving me that right up close to the edge part. And then I'm burnishing it down. Okay, and then I will take my bone folder and just sort of push in that crease area right there, so it's sort of getting a little bit of a crease, right like that. Lift this end up, crease it a little bit, just sort of putting the ruts in there so it'll be there to make it a little bit easier later on. And then I'm going to repeat the same thing over here. Pretty simple, not too extravagant, too hard to do. And again, I'm going to fold and sort of crease that along the edge. Burnish that and make sure I get down there. I'm getting glue on my thing where it squishes out. It did some over there, but that'll all be covered up. Just make sure your ends are pulled. And again, I just sort of push down in there. Okay. And then I do the same thing out here and just sort of give it a bend, not a lot, and you need to go really slow because you don't want to break any of that paper. Although your Tyvek should help that, you know, it doesn't always. Sometimes, depending on the kind of paper you got, this paper isn't really thick, so that usually helps. Okay, so we have that. So that's going to be the front. I wanted it to sort of have that really old ledger look, just because of all the calligraphy and the writing. I thought it was look really good. Okay, so now, and I know, where did I do with it? Aha. I do want to get my ink out. And I'm going to ink up my corners because I'm going to be gluing across the inside. And really your corners you could come back and ink later, but I just sort of put it in this, I always do it now, I guess, because out of habit, I guess. And then I'll come back, I'll worry about doing the front and stuff later, but I always do. And you know, you can do this as heavy or as light as you want it to be. Again, it just sort of depends on how I'm doing a little bit more over here because I wanted mine to look a little bit darker. Sort of have, because we've been sort of having that old gold tone to it. Okay, and the bottom on here is a little bit darker already, so it shows up. Okay. But over here on this part over here where it's real bright and golden, I sort of wanted to give it that more of that bronzy, goldy color that we've been having. Sorry, my sleeve keeps getting in the way. My craft room's at the sort of the northernmost end of my house, closer to where, you know, the north winds come in, so it stays a little bit chillier than the rest of my house. Okay, so now this is what I'm using for my inside. So I'm gonna ink around the edges on here, and this is really dark, so the ink's really not gonna do a whole lot other than take away that really bright edge off there, because obviously I don't want that bright white edge showing through. I'm going to ink around the edges of these really fast. So there's that one. Because these will be inside the cover. And then one thing you do need to pay attention to. Oh, and I'll give you the measurements for these in just a second. And the inside spine that I do. I am actually going to be yeah, I am going to be binding mine through my spine. I'm not going to worry about doing a hidden spine. If I was going to do a hidden spine, I would do it now and put it in before I put the papers in. But I'm not going to. I'm doing an outside spine where you're going to be able to see it. Okay, one thing when, and these papers I cut at 5 3/4 by 8 3/4. So I mean, you're gonna have just a little bitty, about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Now like these, I don't know if you guys can see on these because they're pretty dark. There's a design down in here. I want to make sure that shows. So I'm gonna make sure when I put my page in that I have it down. And then I want the other one up here. So it's sort of, you know, alternating corners. So you need to make sure that you pay attention to that when you're getting ready to put that in there. Let me go ahead and ink, and I'm just using the gold from the cover is going to be my internal spine. I could have used this color and had it all one color, or I could have used just the dark. But I really liked the color of the gold with the brown, and I thought it sort of carried that gold tone of the whole journal into the inside. So again, I'm just inking this up, and then I'm going to come back, sort of try to hit these sides over here and ink them up where you're going to be able to see them. I'm sorry if you can hear the car going down the street. Sometimes these little cars that go past have big blurry mufflers and such. Okay, and this I want to go this way. So now we glue. And again, I'm just gonna probably should do that on my cover, just in case I go off the side or something totally crazy like that, which I just did. So, and again, I'm just putting a nice layer of glue around the outside, and then I'm just gonna make sure I have some nice glue coverage across here. Okay. And we'll start over here. And I know I want about 1/8 of an inch. And again, you know, I'm just going to line this up as I go to put it in. Sort of keep an eye on it. See, make sure I'm even, which is harder to do with the camera than if you're not filming. So if you're not filming, it should be a lot easier. And I'm just going to rub that in. And then I'm going to burnish it. I'm going to make sure as I burnish, I push to the inside. That's going to keep any of that goopy glue from, you know, popping out the sides, or, you know, and then, you know, at the bottom and the top, sort of just push inward. And then as I burnish, if it happens to come in over here, it's not going to matter because I'm going to cover that up anyway. So that's in. Let's do this one. And you might see, like, let me get this right here. Just get rid of that. I can tell I have this one little corner down here that apparently it just didn't get out to the corner all the way, so I'm gonna. And now you guys will notice that I was able to lift that up and work on it, which is one of the nice things of Fabri-Tac. However, just so you know, if you let that set for a little bit, it's permanent. So once it sets for a while, you're not going to be able to do anything with that. It's going to be glued down. So if you need to like do any adjustments or anything, you need to do it straight off, because the longer it sits there, the more likely you're going to be ripping into your cover. You're going to be tearing your chipboard trying to get it up, because it will adhere. I need to make sure I get my corners so I don't have to deal with that again. I think it's where I was coming through there and I rounded my corner and didn't go all the way over into my actual corner. Yeah, glue stringing everywhere. I'll have to get that cleaned up in a second. Got it glued down on my table. Okay, and then again, I want to make sure I check, you know, if I have my, and I try to line it up with the other side so I know it's about even. And we're good. Okay. Then I always grab the bottom and push up, and grab the top and pull down. And see how that squished out, but it squished out over here instead of popping out the top because I started and pushed in like that. And I don't have to worry about that being there. I can just wipe it off because that's going to be covered up anyway. Okay, so there we go. We've got our two sides down. Now to get our middle on there. Okay. And this isn't going to matter unless, you know, if there's a darker end you want one way or the other. You can sort of look at it and see. I sort of want that end down. And, you know, we are almost done. Once we get the cover done, there is one thing I have to do really fast. I will put the glue on this, then we'll set it aside for just a second. Which is fine because it won't dry on us that fast because it's Fabri-Tac. Okay, I'm going to set this to the side really, really fast. I need to get in my little bowl. We have our little piece that we're gonna do for our dangle. Then I'm gonna come out here and I'm going to take this up here, my top and my bottom, because I do have a top and a bottom. Okay, this is my bottom. This is my top. Is it? Yes. Okay. So then I'm gonna measure. See, I've got 0 to 3, so at 1.5 and about that far down works for me. I'm gonna mark that. I have a spot. Then let's see. I have it on my 1/8 inch, and I can line this up with my big bite. Let's see, am I over top of it? Yes, I am. So give me just a second. And I went right through that chipboard like that. Easy money with those. I love them. Okay, and then I'm gonna fold this up. I know I need it, my circle hanging that way. I always put just a tad bit of glue around it. Just a little bit to sort of hold that little metal disc in place a little bit. Okay. And I know I need to put my fingers, get that in there. And it's just like a brad, or like a policy clasp envelope, you know, where you got the two little legs. And my glue. Okay. And I'm just going to turn it to the direction I want it to be. I want it right like that. Then I'm going to push those little legs down, and I'm going to take my bone folder, which there, I mean, there's probably better things you can use, and I just sort of put pressure on it and push those down. And see, that's gonna, then before I glue that paper down, I can sort of move that around to see I've got my little hanger there already there for my dangle. Okay, so let's get back over here, grab our paper. May have to, I'm gonna put a little extra glue around the edges just to make sure that that was disgusting. There was a big goobery bunch. Just because I want to make sure that this is still sticky, but I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to, that it's going to adhere, and I'm not going to have, you know, my paper coming undone or vice versa. So I'll just do a little bit across there, because it took a lot longer for me to do that than what I thought it would. Good enough. Okay. We put that down, and then again, you're going to just sort of, with your eyes, line that up to the best of your ability. Or you can mark it if you want to. It's hard to mark with, I'm just sort of measuring about, yeah, it's about, needs to be. Okay. Then I'm gonna push my bottom up, trying not to smear it everywhere, and you know, if you're gonna smear it, this will be where you do it. And one thing with Fabri-Tac is most of it does wipe off pretty good if it does splooge out on you, which this is going to do, because I put the extra on there to make sure I got it, and apparently the first bunch was enough. And, you know, if you've not worked with Fabri-Tac, it is very reminiscent of the rubber cement we used in school. You know, where it balls up. Okay. Then, this is where it gets, you just gotta go really slow and just keep working it. And I just slowly move it up as I'm going back and forth. Trying to work it without, you know, knocking anything loose. That did pretty good. And we can come back through, because this is paper on paper, with our glitter glue. If you see like any little edges, like I see a couple little spots over here where it wasn't right up against the edge, I can come back with my art glitter glue and, you know, work it through there. So there is our cover, our outside. Now we still have to do some inking, because, you know, you gotta always ink it. Let's see, there's my, so I just sort of like to ink along there, sort of blends it, I guess. I don't know. It's my thing. And then you have to ink the outside. And I love inking the outside because I think it ages it so much. It gives it so much. I know some people, you know, don't care whether they ink the covers or not. That's just me. But I want this to have that old ledger look. So we'll have left the doing the binding. And I'm not sure, so I'm going to go off of what you guys comment. Do you think we should put a bunch of decorate the front cover up? Or do you think we should keep it like an old ledger book, since it's got all the old calligraphy and all that on the inside? Because sometimes it's really nice to have that just nice toned down cover. Okay. So, there's our cover. Do you like it having the, you know, old ledger look? Now, I did do a 3-inch cover, so we're going to have a little, you know, some spacing, because I didn't want it to alligator mouth so much. And that lets it set nice without, so by the time, even if you add stuff to it, it's not going to be, you know, it's going to alligator mouth a little bit, but when it's in there, once it gets binded, it's going to stick out a little bit over the edge. But, you know, it's not going to alligator mouth a lot, which is what I sort of liked. I mean, technically, we could still throw our third one in there, which is why I did the 3, because, you know, I sort of want to put all 3 of them in there together, which is going to be amazing, you guys. I mean, I don't know, maybe I should put all 3 in there. That's sort of really awesome looking. I sort of really like the 3 in there, I think, actually. What do you guys think? Let's have this in here, and then we'll do the spine. Then we have this in here, so let's see. Let me take these out really fast. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I want to decorate the outside because, you know, everything tells you should decorate the outside. But at the same time, let me make sure I get these all untangled before I hook this on and make sure I'm hooking it all in the right direction. Okay, over here. Okay, those are all in the right way. You know, do you think we should do that, or do you think we should sort of leave it blank like the old ledger? Because, I mean, it really does look like an old ledger book on the front, you know, with that. Well, there it went. So there's our charm off the end, and then I will run some lace and ribbon and stuff off of here. You know, tied onto here where it attaches, just sort of give it something, but with the beads and stuff out the bottom. So that's that on that side. So, you know, tell me what you think, if you think we should decorate the covers or should we leave them so they have that old binder look, and then when you open it up, you're going to get wham. You know, you're going to get hit by all of this glorious natural beauty. I don't know. And we do have our book plate and, you know, to decorate the inside of our covers still. So, although I may just put just the book plate in the front cover because I think that sort of looks really good with just that solid back in the background, and it sort of gives it a little bit. And then maybe put an envelope for storage back here. I think so. So, you know, let me know what you think about the cover. You know, maybe we could, you know, put something out there. I do think I'm going to go ahead and put this in, though. Let me ink it up really good. And I thought about originally that I would make this a pocket, but I really think that I'm just going to put it as a flat. I think it makes it look, I don't know. I think that's what I like. I think you can do yours the way you like, and I'll do mine the way I like. No, each person, you will do, you know, do things their way. I just think it sort of adds, I'm a book person, so I sort of like that book plate look in the front without a lot of stuff. Now I'm rethinking if I should do that or not, or if I should put a pocket down there. Hold on just a second. I'm digging through trying to find something. I can't find it now because I'm looking for it. Okay, hold on just a second. I'll be right back. Let me grab it. Okay, and I know you guys are probably wondering what in the world I'm doing, but I actually got, let's see, I actually like this one better, I think. No, I sort of like this one better. I actually got an index card. that I could glue this down on. And I'm just burnishing it down, hopefully, in the frame where you can see that. I'm just putting that on the index card. And I'm thinking I can ink this up, trim it down some, and it can be a pocket, is what I'm thinking. So let me take my scissors and trim this down. Okay, let me ink it up. And we'll just sort of make a pocket out of that, I guess. Just as much as you wanted to. And I think we'll do, we haven't did a lot of tags for this, so I think we'll do a tag. Trim this up a wee bit. There we go. I'm going to put that in there as a pocket, and then we can tuck something in the top. Yes, that's what we'll do. That way we're using all that space. It's not just empty. There we go. So we got our pocket there, and we can make something to tuck down in there. Maybe something like that. I'll draw a little color. Maybe we can back it with the gold like we did on the front cover. I don't know. I'll work with that and come up with something. Yep, we'll work with that. So that will be, we'll do that for when we talk about when we decorate whether our covers or not. So, you know, please comment, let me know if you think we should decorate the front cover, if you want to leave it, or you think we should leave it plain. Let me grab my 3 and signatures, I guess. Again, we're going to go back to 3. So it may alligator mouth a little bit, not a lot, but, and we still have to do our closure. But we'll do our closure when we'll bind and do our closure. So if you think we should do something on the front, I think we have to do something on the front. I'm not sure what, but I know we need to do something. I never used my vellum. So we got some things we haven't used. Still got quite a bit of my doily, which I think would look really pretty on there. Maybe a doily coming off the side of it for the front. I want to leave the back flat, just because of when we write. So, you know, but we can put a doily up here, and then maybe, I don't know, find something to put up there. A little piece. I don't know. We'll come up with something, I guess, if you guys want to decorate it. I'll go through and see all my little... I think maybe we could put, you know, make like a postage stamp type thing, but a little bit larger than a postage stamp, you know, with a nice, you know, a big section, sort of like a postage stamp, just sort of it, or maybe this, and then, you know, maybe the name Mirabella Nature on the front, something like that. I don't know. I'll play around with it tonight and see ideas that I can come up with for the video for tomorrow. So, but this is our cover so far, so I hope you guys are enjoying it. And these covers I did make so there's enough that there's a little bit of room on top and bottom when they're in there where they need to be. Of course, they're not sewed in right now, so it's sort of hard to keep them in one place, but there's about 1/4 of an inch, and then there's a little bit more, not a 1/2 inch, but not a 1/4 inch along the edge, but I wanted to make sure that, you know, we had a little room for the tabs to sort of be protected. So, and there's our gorgeous little charm. Like I said, we'll tie some ribbon up through the hook part, you know, sort of give it a little bit of something. And we have to talk closures. I actually did find, while I'm doing here and I'm rambling, I did find this, it's gonna flip open, at my thrift store, and it's an old scarf, but it has all these trees and like bird nests and eggs in it, and I thought, you know, that's almost perfect for, you know, a nature journal. I'm not sure. You know, I had ideally the way I wanted to, you know, do it. So, if I did it the way I wanted to, it would have the ends sort of hanging, would be hanging long off the back, because I wanted some of that. I just think that's cute. So, I mean, that would be, but this is flat enough, even when it's knotted, it's not going to be too crazy. So, I wanted that to be that way, but it'll hang out sort of the inside, if that makes sense. Then this will wrap around. So, this basically would be in here, but it's going to be under the signature. And this is probably not going to make any sense at all, because and then I wanted it to wrap around. Oh no, I just went backwards. Oh my. Yeah, it would wrap around this way. At which point it would come up and we would have our, let me see if I can find the hole in here between the two. Then we would have our little hitch post right there to catch that. But I don't know. Like I said, it was just an idea. I'm not sure, you know, this thing's not too big. So I'm sort of playing with ideas now that I found it. I'm not sure, you know, just doubling it up. You know, and sort of bring it to the front to where you can just tie it. Although that seems pretty basic, I mean, but I mean, it actually doesn't look that bad. And see, it's got like the gold tones from the cover, and it's got the brown, so I already knew I wanted to use these papers, so when I seen it, it was like, all the colors were right, and then there's like, you know, I didn't even see what it was. I seen the colors were right, and I'm like, well, I'll just grab this, I'll look at it later when I get home. And see, I mean, it was like 25 cents. And then I got home and I realized it was like, you know, trees and the bird nest and all that. So, try to slide that over. So, that's basically what it would be. And I mean, your charms would still hang out the side. So, I think I actually sort of like just tying it like that. I think it gives it more of a, I don't know, just more basic. Which is why I'm wondering if we should with this on here, that's sort of its own little, you know, decoration. I'm not sure I really want to decorate a whole lot on the front. I mean, we're still going to have our corners on there. So, I mean, you know, you're going to have your corners on there. So, I mean, that's sort of pretty within itself. I sort of think it adds an elegant look to it because of where it's plain. So, I don't know. Comment in the comments below and let me know what you think. I'm not going to keep rambling while I'm wondering, although this is how I process when I'm building something on my own. So, you guys are seeing it firsthand. And I do like this as a closure, I think, just tied on like this. And I think that's pretty easy. You know, if somebody wants to get into it, they know, you know, you can just, well, now I can't do it because, yeah, you just grab your knot and undo it. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to put back on. You can totally remove it, so it lets your, you know, it lets you lie flat, and I think that's important. I think so. Okay, well, that'll give you guys some thinking, and make sure you comment below in the bottom, and, you know, let me know what you think. I thought this needed more ink while I was sitting here looking at it. Sorry. Just comment and let me know what you think. And we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Again, this is Dorothy and the Mira Nature Journal. We hope you're enjoying, you know, along. And, you know, January's almost over, so we're getting ready to start another one, guys. Although February is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be a, well, it's sort of going to be a journal, but not quite a journal. So February's right around the corner. So we will see you for the next video. Have a great day. Bye.